Good evening and welcome to the January 27th, 2025 meeting of the Barnstable Planning Board here at Barnstable Town Hall. We are located at 367 Main Street, Hyannis, Mass. In the James H. Crocker Jr. Hearing Room. We're on the second floor and it is 7 p.m. The meeting notice has been previously filed with the town clerk in accordance with Mass General Law. All application materials may be accessed through the Planning Board website or by contacting Karen Pina at karen.pina@town.barnstable.ma.us or calling 508-862-4064. Notice of recording: the meeting will be televised live via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live stream on the Town of Barnstable's website, which is streaming85.townofbarnstable.us. The chair, I will now inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, please make your presence known. Seeing none, I will call the meeting to order, starting with Matt.
Matthew Tague.
Ray.
Ray Sexton, good evening.
Bob.
Good evening, Bob Twist.
Tim.
Good evening, Tim O'Neill.
Jim.
Good evening, Jim Cupford, Director of Planning and Development.
Kyle.
Kyle Battazzini, Assistant Director.
And Karen.
Karen Pina, Admin Assistant, Planning and Development.
Thank you all so much, and my name is Steve Robichaud. Again, calling the meeting to order at this time. Next, we'll go to some general public comment. For any public comment not related to the agenda this evening, seeing none, we will move to our first item this evening, which is a zoning amendment. Ray, would you like to read this one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. ZA number 2025.
Yeah, actually, sorry. That's a good idea, Jim. We don't have the applicant here with us at this time, so we're gonna jump ahead.
Okay.
We'll do a couple of the other things on the agenda, and then we'll circle back. I'll leave that one for you.
All right.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and jump ahead here. Jim, you wanna give us a staff update?
Absolutely. So the planning department's been fairly busy. The local comprehensive planning committee met last Thursday and discussed the first draft of the local comprehensive plan. They're currently reviewing that draft, and we'll have a few meetings this February to redline and offer comments before going out to the public. The intent is for a draft for public comment, hopefully by the beginning of March. And at that time, we will be crisscrossing the community into all the villages to get everyone's public feedback and offer comments back to the committee. Also, the department, along with DPW, have been feverishly working on the Great Streets project. So I just wanted to give a brief update there. The Great Streets project, the two-way Main Street, two-way South Street project is still ongoing. Our engineers are cleaning up the 25% design with a hope that we will have our 75% design towards the end of winter for public feedback. That was presented at Town Council a few months back, adding a few items such as ADA compliance for certain sections that we thought were very vital to this corridor, looking at other sidewalk improvements as well. As we finish up the engineering for that project. So hopefully 75% to the public at the end of winter, hopefully end of February, early March. We are reviewing the ADU regulations that formally just came out from the state this past Friday. The state offered a public comment period, I think 2 weeks ago, and now has formally finalized those ADU regs. Just like we talked about here, the concern about gross floor area, much of that appears to have stayed, though I haven't taken a full review of those just yet. We will get to those and offer and make those proper edits to any final ordinance that goes to Town Council. Town Council is considering this on February 6th. In addition to staying on topic with the ADUs, I will be providing an update to the CWMP ad hoc committee. The CWMP, the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, is being updated currently. It's every 5 years, I believe, and the committee has asked for an update on ADUs and how that would impact our CWMP. So we'll be discussing that tomorrow night. And lastly, there is the active ad hoc committees from the Town Council. The one that we are most involved with is the zoning ad hoc committee. They are continuing to meet on Friday evenings. And we've had a lot of discussions revolving the downtown Hyannis zoning and potential changes to that. likely some recommendations coming out in the next month or so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions, comments for Jim? Ray?
Just two questions. First of all, on the ad hoc zoning committee, they're actually going to make substantial comments and suggestions?
It appears so. There are an active memorandum. There is an active memorandum being developed for that committee that is looking at not just the downtown Hyannis zoning, but there are some substantial changes that they are discussing. They are also looking at some other ordinances. In fact, this Friday, I believe they're going to discuss the large ground-mounted solar ordinance that this board worked hard on, I think 2 years ago now.
Okay, that's interesting. And the other question is, you're talking about the Great Streets project. Is that big, huge gaggle of giant cranes and dump trucks and loaders on the way in here, is that part of the Great Streets project?
It will merge seamlessly into the Great Streets project, but no, that is our sewer pump station that is being constructed there, and should be wrapping up fairly soon here.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, good stuff. Anything else for Jim? Bob?
Let me just follow up. Does that include the, whatever's going on at the corner of South Street and C Street? That was closed down a half a lane when I came tonight with a big backhoe or some kind of big thing, and as opposed to out on Main Street before the split.
No, I don't believe that is associated with that project. I can follow up with DPW though, but yeah, I believe that might be some maintenance.
completely different.
Yeah, that might be.
Great. Anything else for Jim, staff? Okay, moving along. Everybody have a chance to look at the January 13th, 2025 draft minutes. And if so, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Ray.
So moved.
Second.
And a second from Matt. All those in favor, Matt?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
I'll abstain because I wasn't here.
All right. Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. And that's 4, so we're still good. Okay, the minutes pass. Going to move back now to our zoning amendment. Ray, why don't you go ahead and read that one in?
All right, Mr. Chairman. ZA number 2025-062, amending the code of the town of Barnstable, Part 1, General Ordinances, Chapter 240, zoning to establish a cannabis district overlay and expand existing medical marijuana district. Mr. Chairman, I would move to open a public meeting.
Excellent, thank you. And do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. All those in favor, Matt?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. The public hearing is open. This evening, we do not have the applicant with us, so we can share some initial thoughts and then continue to our next meeting. We are in receipt of a staff report dated January 27th, 2025, provided by Jim Kupfer. Very thorough, excellent staff report. Again, we'll look to just continue this to our next meeting, but before we do, Jim, I wanted to just mention a couple things that you could pass along to the applicant to possibly look at for our next meeting. For me, such things as, looking at the environmental impact, the public impact, the community impact. Obviously there has been, there is a bit in the staff report about the economic impact. And then just, some information about the geographic area and what impact it might have there. Also, another big thing just kind of weighing on me is I've never looked at something before that potentially we would have some influence over that is in contradiction with federal law. So I didn't know if the town attorney wanted to weigh in on that. It's something that has come up in the past, and I think it's important for us to just be aware of. Before we continue this, Jim, can you just quickly outline what our role is, how this initiated, what the process is going forward, and what the voting threshold is for this one?
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. So the process here is somewhat unique, as typically, excuse me, the ordinances that come before you are, sponsored by, say, a town councilor or the manager. Here, this is a petition article. So under Mass General Law 48, Section 5, it spells out the ways in which a zoning amendment can move forward for consideration. one of which is your town council. The planning board is actually one of them, zoning board, petitioner, and so a certain number of registered voters can sign. I believe this is 10 registered voters that are moving this forward. So the first step was submission to the town clerk. It then goes to the town council for a first read, which essentially accepts the petition. Then they forward it to the planning board, which is where we are today. The planning board then offers a recommendation. The recommendation, not like you guys are well-versed in regulatory agreements. If a yes vote would move it forward, a no vote would not move it forward for regulatory agreement. Here, this is simply a recommendation that would move forward to the town council either way. So your vote, whether it would be a majority vote of the board, and so in either direction.
Of the total board or the board present that evening?
Of the board present and voting.
Okay, thank you.
Can make that recommendation back to the council. It would be offered in the form of a letter signed by the chair that would go to the council for their consideration. I believe this would have to be a public hearing. So it would then, once we get your formal recommendation, I believe we have 90 days. Don't hold me to that. It's spelled out in Mass General Law, a certain number of days to get it back to town council for their review.
Yeah.
Town
okay.
council would need to approve it by 2/3 majority.
Okay.
Your recommendation is, in terms of if it's a positive or affirmative, is also important because if it's a negative recommendation and then the petition fails at town council, then the town is basically frozen from looking at this topic for 2 years. So the planning board's recommendation is kind of the trigger as to whether or not it can kind of be opened back up in the next 2 years. So that's something else to keep in mind.
Yeah, really good information from both of you. Thank you very much for that. And just in terms of the recommendation, what does it look like? Is it simply a yes or no to what's in front of us? Or are we able to say no but, or yes but, and adjust the map, or adjust this, or adjust that? Do we have, open ability to do whatever we see, please?
Yeah, so as the planning board, you can offer those recommendations to the petitioner. The petitioner is ultimately the one that will decide whether or not any adjustments are formally made.
Okay.
But those recommendations nevertheless can still go to the council for their consideration, and they can also in turn ask these same questions and make those same suggestions if they agree. But again, ultimately, as a petition article, they are the drafter of this zoning amendment.
Okay.
It would be at their discretion.
That makes sense. Great, appreciate that. Well, obviously, we want to give the petitioner, the applicant, chance to speak, so I recommend we leave our public hearing open and continue this. Anything else that we want to give staff to pass along to the applicant? Ray?
Thank you. I just one quick clarifying question, Jim, and that is, so we are not talking about a special permit here, as you said. This is just strictly a recommendation. So as an advisory role, we would say this is good or not good, or we could recommend good with the following changes, but we don't have final approval. It would be the council that would do that.
That's correct. There's no formal application permit in front of you. This is for an amendment to the zoning, so you're absolutely correct. It would be suggested recommendations of the ordinance that would proceed ultimately to council for consideration.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great, Matt?
Who is the applicant?
Oh, good question. I was wondering that myself.
The mysterious applicant, who is it?
Yeah, do you have a name?
Are they in the room? I don't see them.
I believe the top name on the petition was Nate Hirschler, who is a local property owner here in town.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you. I move that we continue the public hearing to, I don't know what the next what's the next date on the
Yeah, it
10th?
looks like it's going to be February 10th.
I move that we continue the public hearing to February 10th at 7:15 PM.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, Bob, second. All those in favor? Matt?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. That item is continued to our next meeting. Our next meetings are, as mentioned, February 10th, which is a Monday, 7 p.m., and Monday, February 24th at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall, both in person. And that's all we have on our agenda this evening. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns from staff or board? Tim?
I just wanted to ask, I attended the open house, was it last week, at that property on 310 Barnstable Road?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think was there, I think it was 2 days. There was like a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And I think the understanding is there's a future potential reg agreement that will be coming here, and that was take a look at it prior to tenants moving in, because it was the last chance to kind of see it. But I just want to know if any other board members went. I don't think we should probably discuss that until that reg agreement is here. But it was someone from the housing committee there, and actually there's one of the town councilors. And it was just good to see a property, I mean, granted, that's something that's potential permitting and coming up, but I thought, if there's ever an opportunity in the future to, even maybe look past and have, and with even different members, some, from town council or from the housing committee to, go see some recently built projects or completed or something that happened a couple of years ago, because it was just good kind of discussion, and with some other people and other boards in the town. I thought it was a good opportunity to see them and see a project like that.
Yeah, that was great. Jim, anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, if the board is interested in seeing some recently constructed developments, happy to set that up. I'm sure there's a number of willing partners that could help us do that.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I saw Hanover when it had its grand opening, and that was cool. It was good. It's good to see. The other one that is on my mind is I-850, Route 28. Is it 850, right?
850.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Across from the adult.
Yeah,
Was it across the middle school?
yeah, that one would be cool to see, so.
Let me follow up on, I forget whose question it was, but do we have any, with regard to, it's yours, regard to Hanover, because a number of us took the tour of Hanover when it opened up.
Right.
Do we have any information on what the percentage of occupancy of Hanover is?
Yeah, they recently gave us the affordable occupancy, and I believe they're completely full on the affordables. The last I spoke with them, they were going to give us some updated data, but they suggested to us that they're over 70% occupied, though I haven't received that in writing, but that was just as we were discussing. There is an application for Hanover 2 that's in front of the Cape Cod Commission. Actually, tonight was the second hearing. We have staff there, and that was continued to February 10th as well.
Cool. 70% total or affordable?
Total.
Cool, okay. All right, anything else before we adjourn? All right, I move we adjourn. Do we have a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Tim. And all those in favor? Matt?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And Steve Robichaud votes aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.